Syria is paramount on the minds of the delegates now assembling in New York for the UN General Assembly this week. Major speeches get underway Tuesday with U.S. President Barack Obama and Iran's newly elected leader, Hassan Rouhani, among others. CCTV's Stephen Fee will be watching the developments all week long. He joins us live from the United Nations in New York with more. Stephen.
Well, Mike, this section of New York City is under strict lockdown. We're just hours away from that high-level segment of the UN General Assembly. But of course, world leaders are taking advantage of the fact that they're all in the same city to discuss issues like nuclear disarmament, sustainable development, but also the world's tough and troubling hotspots, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, for example, and of course Syria. Now this afternoon I spoke to the UN's High Representative for Disarmament Affairs, Angela Kane. We discussed a number of issues, but my first question to her was, when can we expect those UN chemical weapons inspectors to return to Damascus to resume their investigation?
They will go back. In fact, they're right now in The Hague. They're assembling. They're traveling tomorrow. They will be on Wednesday in Damascus. And they will stay to complete the investigation that they had to interrupt when the 21 August incident occurred. And that means that they will investigate Khan al-Assal plus 2 other incidents that had been agreed with the Syrian government. And then the Syrian government, while we were there the week after 21 August, they had asked us to look into 3 other incidents of alleged use of chemical weapons, and we will also look at those.
The Russia-U.S. framework agreement that they've come to an agreement on the other week sets a pretty expedited timeline for securing and eventually dismantling Syria's chemical weapons. How credible is that, considering the security situation in Syria?
The difficulty will be with the destruction. The destruction under the Chemical Weapons Convention is the responsibility of the country itself. Now, I believe Syria has already indicated to the OPCW that they're not able to do that. And so there's been talk in the Geneva Agreement about consolidating some of these stockpiles. That's where the difficulty will be. How do you consolidate that? Is that all going to be within the government territory? Where is that going to be? So your question is a very pertinent one, and no one has really answered that question yet.
The Secretary General, though, has said that chemical weapons use is just the tip of the iceberg in Syria. Does this report get us any closer to resolving what has been a pretty horrific civil war in Syria?
I don't think that the report will resolve solving the civil war, but what I've heard in the last week is that this report has really galvanized efforts to make Geneva 2 happen, to bring a political solution about. So if this report has brought about a crisis that then gets an impulse to have the political negotiation going, I think then that would be a very positive outcome of something that started as something horrible.
The newly elected leader of Iran, Hassan Rouhani, has been making new overtures, in particular to the United States, but also publicly, releasing political prisoners, signaling a willingness to perhaps open up his country's nuclear program. I'm wondering how you react to those overtures and whether you find them credible.
We all hope that these positive remarks that were made will now translate into concrete action. And I think that's really where the rubber hits the road. It's not only the words, but then, of course, the words have to be followed by action. But I would also hope that the international community, after being very much in a standoff position in terms of the Iranian government, will also now sort of take also a step forward in order to meet maybe the Iranian side a little bit of the way.
And of course, Iran will be in close focus on Tuesday. The president of Iran will take the podium, as well as U.S. President Barack Obama. The 2 men may meet on the sidelines, perhaps for a quick handshake. Latin America will also be in focus. Heads of state from Brazil and Argentina are scheduled to speak, and France, which has led a strong charge at the UN Security Council against the Syrian government, also slated to take the podium. Mike?
Stephen Fee, live for us in New York. We'll obviously see a lot of you this week. Thanks.